Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep dive into the history, the brilliant engineering, and the enduring legacy of an absolute icon, the 1937 Mercedes-Benz 540K. Seriously, this isn't just a car. It's a rolling piece of sculpture and a masterclass in pre-war automotive design. We're going to trace its fascinating path, right from its debut in the 1930s all the way to its status today as one of the most coveted collector vehicles on the planet.
Okay, let's kick things off with a number that's going to blow your mind. $9.9 million. Yeah, you heard that right. That is the staggering auction price paid during the Pebble Beach Automotive Week in 2022 for just one of these vehicles. Specifically, we're talking about a 540K Spezial Roadster that was originally ordered back in May of 1937 for Mohammad Zahir Shah, the King of Afghanistan. Now, a valuation like that really makes you wonder, right? What exactly makes a machine from the 1930s command the price of a modern luxury estate? Well, to understand the whole shebang, we need to go back to where it all began.
Part 1. A pre-war engineering marvel.
Let's transport ourselves back to the Paris Motor Show in 1936. The automotive world was evolving fast, and Mercedes-Benz really needed a flagship model to lock in its global prestige. Enter the 540K. It was introduced as the next step up from their earlier 500K model, and almost instantly it became known as one of the fastest, most capable production cars in the world. You had designer Friedrich Gegger and engineer Gustav Rohr calling the shots. And Rohr, who actually worked on Mercedes-Benz's Grand Prix cars, decided to bring some of that racing technology straight to the streets. By swapping out the heavy girder frame of previous models for a lightweight oval tube chassis, they drastically improved the car's rigidity. It was a direct crossover from their legendary Silver Arrows racing campaign, and it really lightened up the vehicle. Honestly, it was a massive leap forward.
Part 2. The compressor and coachwork.
Now, you absolutely cannot talk about the 540K without getting into its power and its pure physical presence. Underneath that incredibly long, prominent hood was a massive 5.4-liter inline-eight engine. And wrapped around that powertrain was custom coachwork, mostly handcrafted by Mercedes-Benz's own Karosserie Sindelfingen, managed by Wilhelm Haspel. With those sweeping fenders, external exhaust pipes, and the raked windscreens, they created some of the most striking pre-war silhouettes ever made. But the real magic? That happened when the driver put their foot to the floor. You see, the K in 540K actually stands for Kompressor. This was a gear-driven, roots-type supercharger attached to the engine. But instead of running all the time, it spooled up on demand. When you pushed the accelerator fully to the floor, it engaged, forcing pressurized air right into the twin updraft carburetors. It gave the driver this instant, powerful surge.
To put that boost into perspective, without the supercharger engaged, that 5.4-liter engine produced a very respectable 115 brake horsepower. But once that supercharger kicked in, power spiked dramatically to 180 brake horsepower. That is a huge jump. And that extra muscle allowed this heavy, luxurious vehicle to hit top speeds approaching 170 kilometers per hour, which is about 105 miles per hour. A totally remarkable feat for a Grand Touring car of that era.
Now, as you might guess, this level of performance and luxury was not mass-produced. Factory records show that a total of just 419 of these 540K chassis were ever built between 1936 and 1940. And almost all of them were individually bodied at Sindelfingen to meet the exact specifications of the customer. So breaking that down, production yielded 116 of the two-seater Cabriolet A models, 58 of those highly coveted Roadsters, and various other styles like the four-seater Cabriolet B and C models. This extreme rarity is exactly what guaranteed its exclusivity.
Part 3. Royalty and Hollywood elites.
Back in 1936, a 540K would set you back about 28,000 Reichsmarks. To give you an idea, that's roughly equivalent to $230,000 today. Because of that monumental price tag, it naturally attracted the upper echelons of global high society. It was the ultimate status symbol, seamlessly blending the thrill of a sports car with the unmatched comfort of a luxury cruiser. So who was buying them? Well, original owners included Hollywood titans like Jack L. Warner of Warner Brothers. You had Randolph Hearst, the son of the famous American newspaper publisher William Randolph Hearst. One even crossed the ocean to be delivered to the 14th Maharaja of Indore. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, one was purchased by Mohammad Zahir Shah, the King of Afghanistan. These cars were literally synonymous with immense wealth and the glamorous international elite of the late 1930s.
Part 4. War and the Blue Goose. By 1939, the geopolitical landscape was shifting rapidly. With the outbreak of World War II, production of the civilian chassis completely stopped by 1940. The vehicle was then adapted for the Nazi hierarchy, which required highly specific engineering modifications for wartime realities. 12 special vehicles, known as the W24 series, were developed on an extended chassis with a massive 152.8-inch wheelbase. These were built as 6-seater convertible saloons and later on as 2-door armored saloons. Now, because they were fitted with heavy armor plating and bulletproof glass, the standard suspension just couldn't handle it anymore. Engineers actually had to equip these cars with the de Dion rear suspension to support that massive weight increase. And as a result of all that heavy armor, their top speed was limited to 140 kilometers per hour.
Perhaps the most famous individual 540K from this era is a short wheelbase 540Ks model, historically known as the Blue Goose. It was ordered in 1937 by Hermann Göring, painted Luftwaffe blue, and featured armor plating. Its post-war timeline is actually pretty fascinating. In May of 1945, it was captured by the U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division in Berchtesgaden. The U.S. military used it as a command vehicle for a while, eventually shipped it to the States for a victory bond tour, and then, incredibly, auctioned it off in 1956 for just $2,167. It was maintained privately for decades until it resurfaced in 2002 to be displayed at the 101st Airborne Reunion before eventually being sold for a full restoration.
Part 5. The Modern Concourse Champion.
Bringing our narrative into the modern era, the 540K has really transitioned from a pre-war powerhouse to a meticulously preserved automotive sculpture. Today, these cars are the undisputed champions of the classic car world, regularly headlining prestigious concours d'elegance events. But getting one of these vehicles back to its original glory, that is a painstaking, highly specialized process. It starts by digging deep into the Mercedes-Benz classic archives in Fellbach, Germany, to track down the original order documentation. Next comes a rigorous physical analysis of the car's materials to verify absolute authenticity. And finally, specialists like the folks at RM Auto Restoration work closely with the Mercedes-Benz Classic Center to meticulously rebuild the vehicle so it's exactly as it left the Sindelfingen plant in the 1930s.
And man, does that level of dedication pay off. Mercedes-Benz has claimed the ultimate Best of Show title at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance a staggering 10 times since 1950. They are literally the most successful brand in the history of that crowning event, and that dominance is heavily driven by the W29 series, like the 540K. In fact, remember that $9.9 million King of Afghanistan 540K Special Roadster we talked about at the very beginning? Well, it won Best of Show in 2023.
You know, it's actually kind of amazing to look back at the original press release from the 1936 Paris Motor Show. Mercedes-Benz stated that the 540K conjures up visions of breathtaking exploits of racing cars and drivers of international fame, but also of superlative comfort and coachwork of exquisite beauty. In short, the car for the connoisseur. I'd say they hit the nail on the head, wouldn't you? Almost 9 decades later, that initial promise has flawlessly stood the test of time.
Which leaves us with this final thought to ponder today. How did a machine born in such a turbulent era, surviving a global conflict, changing hands from royalty to soldiers to private collectors, become the ultimate enduring symbol of automotive preservation? The 540K isn't just a car. It's a testament to the timeless nature of brilliant engineering and exquisite design. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you leave with a newfound appreciation for this multi-million-dollar masterpiece.